me a cheer where we get it
Listen, thank you so much for coming and for staying on. This is ad hoc. My name's Nicola, and I'm an arts writer and broadcaster. And until yesterday, and by the way, I would be thrilled about this. I was under the impression that I was doing a Q&A with the wonderful Carla J. Easton, who isn't feeling so well, the co-director of the film and the narrator of the film with Blair. So can we just give her a huge cheer because she's
There's something actually at the back of my Bellody haircut. It was that. It was, unfortunately, Carl's taken off. She's been kind of on the ground all week. I just started to record her album and it just got too much fun today.
Imagine this, right? You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this. I've seen the film a few times on the link. And then I saw this thing on Instagram and it said, Nicola Meaghan in conversation with not just Carla and Blair, wonderful Blair, co-director here at the end, but also Rose McDowall from Strawberry Switchblade. We're going to try and do this in order. Jane from Longleg, Jill from Strawberry Switchblade, Annie from Longleg, Libby, God almighty, boom boom, we're all going to cheer again. I have to check the time because we have about 25 minutes. Now, frankly, I really do this. Pick up microphones, you just have to share them or something. We'll have a chat about whatever we can. Take them. How about the film, first of all? I don't know how many of you have seen it before. I've seen it before, but never in a cinema. And I'm sharing microphones. We're not going to ask you to sing just yet, okay? I'm going to go to Blair first of all, just because I don't know how many years worth of wonderful conversations we've had. You kind of speaking for Carla as well, we have seen you and said, so excited about this film you're working on, you must have told me about it probably before you even started on it. It's so important, but also how on earth do you bring everything together? And here it is. And what's wonderful is it's been greater than the sum of its parts. So already there's a movie here, but it's spinning off into huge articles, huge reviews, people playing on stage together. Like the sense of community, which is really at the heart of this, is like being so celebrated. It feels like the start of something, not the kind of end of it.
Yeah, and that was always our objective. Whatever means we made the documentary through, whatever level of production it reached, it was always just about shining the spotlight on some artists who largely have been ignored because of gender. It's entirely that. The documentary, just in the documentary, so you know what it goes into. But yeah, that was always so. The way I was saying to you earlier, it's always, even if you haven't seen the film, it's sort of been successful already because it's brought everyone back. And Jeanette from the Pennies, the 5-page spread in heavens. And it's just, it seems always what we were after, that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, quite. So let's just, since you're sitting next to lovely Blair, Rose, at what point were you contacted about this and what were your feelings about it at the time? Because in one way your story had been kind of consigned to history. I would sometimes want to talk to you about it, but to have it celebrated and brought back to life on screen, something quite different.
That's way too much. I'm supposed to remember everything you said there. Actually, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing seeing everybody up there because basically, I mean, we're all still here, but you know, and we're
That's
still,
not right.
we're all still here and we're still doing stuff, we're still alive and kicking, just not kicking the right people. But yeah, it's amazing because the documentary itself is good. I actually found it really quite sad that for women, like from when Jill and I started and before, you know, the same problems still exist now. And it's like, and the whole thing about not having a baby and, you know, you have to leave the band because you're pregnant or whatever. I had a baby before I even started, so it's like, all you're doing is enriching that child's life by giving it a more adventurous, you know, life and doing things that not every kid can do, gets to do. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's really good. I think people get stuck in a rut in every aspect of life, and to step out of that, it's what you're celebrating. And to make your children, I mean, having a child is one of the best things. It's much better than creating a song, believe me. But I mean, it's like, so that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be knocked out for doing that.
But it's also, it's even better. It's lovely that at the very beginning of the film, and it's been, I think, since yesterday, which gives it its title. You guys can tell me, Dylan knows the exact date, but we're pretty much to the day, I think, 40 years since it was released.
Well,
Right?
Carla's
Do you know exactly?
the research. I
Let's just say it as today.
years.
40 years.
Wow.
Right, so how often is, honestly, I think that's an incredible thing.
And I remember it like it was suggested.
Let's just go home now, is that really Sorry, we're already going off piece. Jill or Rose, do you remember when you first saw that record in the shop somewhere?
I remember the Smash Hits cover. Do you remember going into like magazine shops and stuff, and we were on Smash Hits on the cover, and that was like just before it got into the charts. And I remember going, I want to buy every single one in the shop. Because it was just like that kind of
It's a really
moment,
bad
you
idea,
know?
you don't buy it.
I want them all back.
Under my bed.
I'm not sure I did, but you know, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, we were kind of overwhelmed back then because when it did take off, we were on every single. The only TV program we didn't do was the OB whistle test. We weren't serious enough for them, obviously. But that was the only thing we did. We were plastered on everything. It was kind of a wee bit hard to ignore us. If you wanted to, it would be difficult. But the record company was like, they'll sell you as hard as they can, but they'll not do for you the best that they can.
Yeah.
So it's really, really hard. And we didn't get any guidance like I said in the film. We got none. We had managers, but no advice. People that had done it before, we hadn't, you know. It's like,
No, it's like you say at the very, very beginning of the film, you know, you were like, I'll get a brain surgeon or a book surgeon. We were both laughed at in equal measure because it was, you know, if a wee boy had said that, I think that would probably been alright, you know. Oh, yeah, drugs are that successful for a girl. It's like, that's not a, you know, that's not a valid career choice. But I love that Jay, we don't need to get a microphone here. You were watching yes. You were watching them as a kid. You were watching Jill and Rose and Strawberry Switchblade. So I was the same. I was completely utterly not. Like, you've seen about that Smash Hits cover. I had that on the wall. You were like, I didn't think I knew you were Scottish. I thought you were from probably another planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think I knew there was Scotland. I think because it was like Jesus and Mary Jane as well, and Strawberry Switchblade, and they're different places just from where I'm from, and but especially these two, like, you know, obviously that song, and it was more than just that song, but that, like, it was just such a killer, and it was just really like hot wired that sound into like a young girl's brain. Like, I just can't believe I'm actually just sitting here. I think I'm doing this on purpose. And then I go.
Accidentally started. But it goes very much back to Carla's narrative earlier on in the film, which is about not just representation but also visibility.
That's exactly what it is, because it is. It's like, you know, you have to see it. If you can see it, you know, Kevin Costner, if we build it, they will come. It's like young women. Like, if we can see women doing something, doing music, you can see yourself doing it.
Yeah.
And that really helped me, and I hope, from my perspective of us being in that film, I hope that encourages other young women, and not just young women, older women who've had their babies.
Yes, well,
You
exactly.
can actually now, they do grow, they become adults. They can feed themselves now, and you can just part of your band as well. You could be in your band.
It's lovely having people like Helena and Ruth
producer, and Malcolm from a behind-the-scenes perspective, obviously, Malcolm's a musician as well, but what Emmy's doing and what they're doing, Libby, reminds me of the fact that, you know, with someone like the Hellfire Club back in the day, or the fact that you need spaces where you feel comfortable enough, welcome enough, or at least like you can gate crash it enough to go down and turn on your instruments and make a racket. Because even that can be intimidating, can't it? The Hellfire Club was obviously a space in which that was, you could at least get the keys and go down and make a racket. And that's important.
Absolutely, and there wasn't another recording studio in Glasgow at the time. There's a great Facebook post that I think Jane Henderson, who's gone now, put up, and it's a day in the life of the Hellfire Club. So the Hellfire Club is this terrible, awful basement in Carnarvon Street, where you know, Stinky the cat ruled the basement.
Lots of Jill's nodding along.
It was really stinky, wasn't it?
Yeah, could we get some of Stinky's?
Yeah, John and my brother Peter took Stinky's 3 feral kittens to London with him. But Stinky ruled the roost, he was there. But basically it was a basement, it was really dusty. And but to rehearse, it was £2 an hour. And it's showing our age. It was in Carnarvon Street, and Ronnie Brown had a place called Carnarvon Link, and he was well dodgy, Ronnie, rest his soul. But he would sell, you know, PA systems to bands that didn't work, and they would go all the way up to the International Hotel in Grangemouth and arrive there to do their gig with a PA that didn't work. The Hellfire Club was in the basement below Carnarvon Link in Carnarvon Street, and me and Jackie and David lived in 22 Carnarvon Street, and at that point all these tenants are all gone now, but believe it or not, at that point in Carnarvon Street it was a really wide big street, like a kind of New York Bronx kind of thing. There was red lights in all the windows around the box. All the ladies actually did have red lights in their windows. So Jackie Bradley, who I was at school with Jackie, and it was her and I that had this idea that we could be in a band. Because we were dead cool, we were 13 and we were Bowie fans and we had great music taste. David Henderson, Jackie Bradley and I was the, you know, the kind of, they were a couple and I was the ligger. I was the hanging on. So we had a flat in Carnarvon Street, and the Hellfire Club was created in the basement across the road. But this Facebook post that Jane put up, there was Simple Minds, Aztec Camera, the Dream Boys, Shaking Pyramids, Cuban Heels. You know, bands, if you were around, if you're as old as me, and you were around in the 80s, it was every band that you went to see, all rehearsed in the Hellfire Club. So when we all finished rehearsing and everybody went home, then we all snuck in. We kind of snuck in, me and Jackie and...
I do love the fact that every single band you've just listed was all men, and then you're like, right, after
Yeah.
dark.
Well, there was also Altered Images.
Okay.
But we did tell Claire that we just let her go off with the boys. And then we snuck in and we picked up their instruments and kind of went and yeah, we just started messing about. But it was quite interesting the way it started. It was just such good fun to play and to be those people. And I think one of the brilliant things about the film, Since Yesterday, is that difference between creativity and celebrity is writ large without it being stuffed down your throat. It's basically when we play and when we use our imaginations and we're collaborative and we create company and we're together. And I think, biased as it sounds, I think women do that really brilliantly. And when we do all that, it's we forget to remember that the industry doesn't really want that. You know, they want something that's much more, you know, something they can control more, you know. And I think Strawberry Switchblade is a great example in the film of something that RCA thought, oh, we can sell that, and then try to just basically control it all, you know.
Yeah, but they thought they could sell it on their terms, which was men's terms of their projection of what they thought a woman's band.
As if they were dealing with a, you know, Bazooka Joe comic strip. Does anyone remember Bazooka Joe?
I do, and I would definitely get a
But you know, the kind of caricature of what you know, a girl and a band are about, you know, as opposed to kind of folk
Well,
people.
it's like a
use the word agency, you know, within it, whereas within Switchblade Boom Boom, and if there isn't a major label involved, then you feel like they have agency, or you can feel like they're doing a DIY thing, or a default thing, and you have some sort of control, whereas once you're on a major label, the entire hierarchy, the entire kind of institutionalization, if you like, of the music industry, it's guys, and that's their template, and they can't see beyond it. But the other thing that is wonderful to try and focus on the positives is that if you have these spaces and you have the Hellfire Club, if you can go in, even if it's after dark, when the shaking pyramids and everything down, love the shaking pyramids by the way, nothing against them. Once the boys have gone, you can go down and make some noise, but also Annie, from your perspective, I don't know how many times I saw Long Leg and bands like that at the 13th Note, or indeed at the Cash Rock through in Edinburgh, and these completely DIY spaces. If you don't have that platform, or if you don't have the means to even have a photocopier to make a fanzine, but if you do, that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean,
We would manage to
we
take
didn't
that, of course.
we didn't have the credit, you know. You didn't need amps or anything. We didn't have any equipment.
I still don't have an amp.
You know,
I'm quite under for that.
I just don't, I've never bought one. I always, for a girl, you just borrow.
Yeah.
you don't need money as well. No, 13th Note was instrumental for all the girl band that Jane mentioned in the film. We shared equipment, we shared instruments, we shared everything.
Is that your Hellfire
Dresses.
Club?
And that was our
Hellfire Club.
and I had a basement as well. And then we used to rehearse in £1 Million Studios, we called it. It was our pals.
£1 Million Studios.
£1 Million Studios was in Arlington Street, next to the Arlington Bar.
It was a
And our
school.
pals lived in a basement. And it was a back room, it was tiny, and it was just mattresses all around. And that's where we recorded a couple of
Yeah, you used to have to like climb
demos
into
and
it.
things.
Mattresses
Just
everywhere.
as
We
well.
didn't have
Thank
an
you.
amp.
There's a theme here, eh?
Thank you must have been there.
I don't know for you.
Yeah.
Blair, what's it like for you, you know, having worked on this film, presumably, in like darkened rooms for nigh on a decade, right? And you never really know, I mean, you've done so many different things, like visually and musically, but this feels like something particularly special in that it's so much about what was on the screen here, but it's like, how many of these conversations are you hearing constantly, seeing in the press, seeing these guys like being on stage together, or doing radio sessions? I mean, what absolutely thrills me is it's like, oh my god, how the fuck did it, excuse me, did it take till like now, like a year when, whatever it is, 2024, for Long Leg to be on like bloody radio form, right? Doing a session on the front row. This is like your Juliet McKinley to be on the front cover of the Herald magazine with a 5-piece, you know, a 5-page feature. It's so overdue, but it needed this to start the whole conversation. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a funny thing that we were, each year, we were, in a selfish way, we were sort of living in fear that somebody else would do it. But it didn't really, that never really happened. And it's sort of backed up the fact that it's always the same bands that get celebrated. And rightly, because in terms of the celebration sense, because Scotland's got this incredible music scene, so disproportionate for the population, how much incredible music comes out. But yes, there was this trope that those, and no disrespect to the exhibition, the Rip Up exhibition that was on Edinburgh, but the feel that things are strong, especially Sleeve and the Wall, maybe a Sunset Gun one too, but largely, like, I get it, they got to focus on the bands that have their own noise to get people in the door. But yeah, it was this loop, it was always stuck in a loop with the same people being celebrated. And we knew, through being kind of music nerds and also through our research, that there was so much more. And we didn't really want it to have to be, we've said that a few times in interviews, that we didn't really want to have to make the documentary. I mean, we did because we were fans.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to have to do it. It should be the case that it needs made. But yeah, it didn't need made. I mean, we've done it, and we're so delighted with the result of that. I don't mean the film, I mean the result of how now everyone knows the names.
Yeah.
And that hopefully is a change for good.
And that's very much when I spoke to Carla as well, you know, along the lines, because I would see her, she told me about it, I don't know, like nearly 10 years ago, I've got this idea, and it's very easy to that's long overdue. It's another thing entirely to try and condense it and capture the spirit of it, but also to have the starting point, just because you're beside Blue Rose, where there's this wonderful moment where it's a good entry point for us all, because we knew Strawberry Switchblade, we had such a kind of visual and musical sort of relationship with you. But Rose, did you know about any of the kind of bands that, like, I'm wondering about you guys even from a musician's point of view, finding out more about someone like the McKinleys in particular, like superheroes. You should have known them all along.
Well, I did know about the McKinleys, like, when my dad was a massive, like, record collector, so I grew up with all his 1950s, 1960s stuff, so I knew about them. I don't have the records, which I wish I did, but a lot of the newer bands I'd heard of, but didn't really know them well, because also it been very up in Scotland all the time. I don't live here anymore, so I'm up and down quite a lot, so and I'd also dropped out of going to gigs as much, because I don't like people. I don't really mean that, you know, well, I don't like crowds and stuff like that. It's just like, I'm quite happy to go somewhere and sit in a corner and just watch. People watch. But, so, I don't go out to gigs a lot. I mean, I do occasionally, and sometimes I get through phases where I do a lot, but all these Skittle bands that actually, like, I heard most of the names, to be honest, but I hadn't heard all the music. So actually watching this documentary, I learned quite a lot, to be honest, about all the new bands. A whole clunk of them which I don't have the records, which we're going to fix that, aren't we?
We're fixing it. I mean, we're already in talks to do like a 7-inch with the eggs, aren't we?
Really? Also wants some
Wow.
knickers.
We've brought knickers for the ladies. We've got a selection of sizes we did not want to presume.
We're not trying them on.
I hope we've got enough for everyone handy, have we? Yeah, the knickers.
I get knickers for the panel.
A bag of knickers. Love it.
Never miss an opportunity.
So you were looking along when Rose was saying that about this wonderful sort of like celebration. The other thing to say is like there's not a single, you know, one of the bands that are mentioned within this and celebrated within the song that sounds anything like the other. That's the other thing, right? It's utterly brilliant.
I mean, it kind of made me wish that we'd stayed in Scotland, you know, that we could have experienced it, you know, like being able to go to these gigs, and it just looked, that to me looked like such a brilliant, just a great experience, you know, and I'd love to see it all, you know, like, I think it's really positive.
Well, there's
It's
always
like
been
we
a
didn't
really
know each other, but
music scene in Scotland, hasn't
Yeah.
there? And I think if we had stayed, we would have all our mates supporting us.
yeah,
We didn't need
it was, I know.
executives telling us what to do and saying that we should be like the Bangles or Banana Rama.
They were constantly trying to polish us, you know, it just felt like we were being polished constantly, weren't we?
Like we signed us knowing exactly what we look like.
Did you wear that eye makeup?
Do you not just I don't need to know you.
Was this meant to like
Yes.
Alright,
Wow.
so you know like that better, right?
Wow.
But yeah, I would love to have been around. You know, I would really loved it, because it sounds like there wasn't like a massive, like there was a music scene, but it sounds like just to have lots of women. It was also in Sophisticated Movement, which was, I mean, we played quite a lot of gigs together.
It was mostly guys back
But it was mostly guys, and I think
And we all get on.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know each other, and we all. I love the way I don't need a microphone.
Different song lyrics.
See, you don't need it.
I don't even remember, but it's like we did, none of us knew each other, and ever since we've met, like we all get on, because there's just, even when I look at our wee faces, all in the same age 20, I'm like, this is these hungry faces, and we all look like we would have, together it would get in trouble.
Never
chips and the gas fire.
Like chips. I know, we've all done it. We used to heat up like pasties on like radiators or something. Got that hungry. Like that's a true story.
Honestly, it's
But it's also just the living of it. If you've got the friendship and the camaraderie and the gang aspect of it, which I think again really comes through in the film, and it doesn't shy away from it, the fact that a lot of the time, real life, which for women can quite often become having a family or getting pregnant or whatever it's here, but the gang mentality and the kind of like almost kicking down the doors mentality, I'm literally thinking about that Hellfire Club and you guys going, let's just go down there and plug stuff in and make a racket. You've got to do it.
yeah.
One of the things I love about Since Yesterday, the doc, is that Carla's voice is so honest and so kind of, and Blair told me that she was really reluctant to do this voiceover. She really didn't want to do it. She thought it had to be done by someone who had a better voice, a more professional voice, or something kind of.
It was more that she didn't ever want the film to be about her. Or
About her,
to be
yeah,
conceived,
yeah.
the conceivable it could be about her experience, which is key to it as well, of course. But yeah, she thought that if she's doing the voiceover, then it's really about her.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And the fact that it starts with the wee girls in the bedroom, I mean, I'm really excited at the fact that my 2 granddaughters are about to come back from holiday, and I'm going to be able to say, your Nana's albums just came out. I've got the t-shirts, I've got the Sophisticated Boom Boom t-shirts. But no, seriously, I mean, I left Sophisticated Boom Boom because we were about to support Simple Minds in the Barrowlands, who are my mates, I'm looking. Because I was pregnant. And at the time I thought, you could pay for this PR. This will be brilliant, this will be fantastic. I'll wear this outfit, which is like, And of course, it was a decision to drop their singer because the ambition of being in their 20s and thinking the industry will not fold us, and all the guys were going, all the RC, the R&E guys were going to come to this Simple Minds gig, so we can't have a pregnant singer, what a mistake, it was really brilliant. It was a decision that doesn't wear well over time, but I'm very happy to say that the producer of Said Pregnancy is now teaching his 2 daughters to play guitar. So it's all came in the wash.
I mean, the great irony of this is you were so ahead of your time because certainly, Jane's speaking about seeing Strawberry Switchblade and Smash It, and therefore I'm sure you also remember Jane seeing Nena Cherry on Top of the Pops, pregnant a few years later, right? Or whenever we are there, we're not at the end of the decade, as the most revolutionary thing that ever happened, and the most feminist thing that ever happened.
We would have been first to do it. I even had my outfit worked out.
Well, I played drums when I was 7 months pregnant in the band that I was in before, Switchblade, and it was like, I never thought for 1 minute that I couldn't. I couldn't do anything. And I think even when we signed to Warner Brothers said, don't let anyone know you have a kid, Rose, and don't let them know you're married.
Wow.
And I'm going, but the thing is, we ended up having my daughter on one of the TV morning breakfast shows, plugging single Jolene, so she would shoot 6-year-old going, Strawberry Switchblade Jolene! It was brilliant, and sometimes we did this gig in the shop theatre where it was a women's cooperative and we would put the gig on so they looked red. But my daughter being my daughter, she skates. And she was running up and down the aisles going, that's my money! And we were on stage and she looked like a wee mini-me because she had ribbons and a wee frilly dress on.
But that's what it should be like to be celebrated, not to be like swept under the carpet or like somehow the shame of it. We have to get you out the back. We'll not speak about it again, just in general. From the perspective of looking at it, and of course the title, What's it like for you, Jill, looking back on that time, because you say within the film, you thought it was just almost, it was almost easier just to not think about music, to kind of maybe close off that aspect. Of course, you're an incredible visual artist, but has it made you feel differently about that time in your life? What did you about your music and the experience of it?
I mean, I'm really proud of it, you know, I think we did a great job and, you know, it was wonderful. I did find the whole kind of aspect of being a product. I mean, you know, Rose was a mother, I was agoraphobic. We weren't the best, you know, we weren't the best bet, were we? You know, it was a challenge generally, you know, so yeah, I mean.
But you could flip that on its head and say how absolutely, utterly brilliant, radical that actually, despite both of those aspects,
we actually got signed, really, you know, I mean, considering your experience, you know, I think Lumley's experience was very different, wasn't it?
Well,
Because
because
in terms of-
I like really bad post-traumatic stress, but I had to totally hide that from everybody. One, because I didn't want anybody to know. It was totally down to me, it was nothing to do with the record company. And I just didn't want to have I didn't want to be a victim and to, do you know what I mean? It's like, but also there's just lots of things when you're growing up, and it's depending on where you grow up and who you are. All those things fashion who you become. And it's like, a lot of people thought, well, maybe if you didn't dress up so much like that as well, then people wouldn't take your music more seriously.
Oh, so it's your fault again, right? It's like,
Absolutely. But the thing is, that was great fun. Jill and I used to go shopping, and we used to, like, one of us would see some polka dots and go, we were just going in and buying meters and meters long of polka dots, and Jill would make the kind of dress he wears, and I would make the kind of dress I wore. You know, so that was part of the fun of it as well. That was a massive bonding thing for Jill and I.
I was asked recently, somebody asked me, who styled you?
Andy's mum.
Who styled you? Who's your stylist? Very idea.
But that comes back to the DIY aspect, actually. That comes back to the bit that wasn't under the control of the labels. Carl asked an absolutely perfect question for the point, which is, why haven't there been more successful girl bands in Scotland? And I think also the film answers that question to some extent, in that if you come from where you stayed where you came late to the sort of DIY ethos, whether that was in punk or whether that was in Riot Girl later, you had the agency. So you could have just ignore that bit. You had the choice. If you then went into the auspices of a major label, and therefore basically kind of patriarchal in the music industry, that's a different thing. You weren't in control. So Annie, for you, it sounds like it was actually, it looked like great fun, you know, certainly from the audience, watching it, buying the records, wearing the pants, not yet, wearing them shortly hopefully. But yeah, the DIY way, but the thing is about that, that's never going to make you quote unquote successful commercially, because you're keeping it close to you and making your own decisions.
When we met John Loader, we were supporting Sonic Youth, and he...
Imagine just casually saying that word.
Sporting Sonic Youth. Yeah.
So he was there as a person, whatever, and he did Crass and everything, you know, I love Crass and all this kind of stuff. So you're like, we were in awe. And then he's like, I want to put out the record again. It wasn't recorded very well. I want to do it again. And he said, there's no pressure. So again, although it wasn't a major, Southern Records isn't major, but they had a lot of amazing bands.
Yeah.
So the best thing for us, we were allowed to go down to the warehouse where they had all the distribution and get some free records.
Yeah, I think we were allowed to look at the records. And he took us around it and then he was like, you can have one. And we were all like, well, I'm not any. Oh, or nothing. But we love RIP, so my marvelous one.
Well, WA was right on Bellin Street Market in London, and I used to all the freebies from Warner Brothers and go straight to the record store and sell them. They weren't paying us enough. Pets in the trade.
That's the recurring story I'm hearing from that documentary. It's like, been a lot of like sharing bags of chips, and it's obviously we all had the same.
When we re-recorded the album for Southern, we had to stay in this
disgusting flat.
Haunted house.
You get in the door to the staircase. This is a white Peter flat, you know, you shut them in the stairs and land at the door. And it was haunted, wasn't it? It was haunted. I mean, it was just like in the room. There was like piles of mail, you know, like one of these horrible places. And that was us there for 2 weeks, and we had a bit of pain. And we lived in baked beans. We got some we went all this shopping, we were like, yes, wine and everything. And then the cab would be cleaned.
Oh, no.
Right, shit. That's true. It was bad. It was grim. It was grim.
There are so many lovely recurring themes like that, right? Warming pasties, sharing chips, it's about friendship and it's about music. I have also just seen that I was told I had to finish at 10:30. Just pay attention to my thought. Do you know, just finally, I want to see a film about you guys in a wanted disgusting flat. I want to see the film about the Hellfire Club. I want to see the film about, you know, the Kazoo Club. I want to see the film about you guys selling yourselves. And what I absolutely love is that what Blair and Carla have done, and I know I said it at the start, but I mean it so wholeheartedly, is like, it's starting a celebration of something. This is not tying up at all. It's almost like, we're going to be sorry guys, because what about 20 more sequels?
Oh yeah. There's so much more, of course, gets cut out. There's so much more gets cut out. And so many stories.
Totally.
A lot of the best stories, a lot of the best music cut
There's
out.
so much music. That's
Yeah, that's the
exactly
stuff.
okay.
The vast majority of the stuff is not on Spotify or any of those platforms, so that's all going to come out in the wash.
Yeah, that's the stuff that's happened in the past. That's not even to mention whatever's going to come of all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Like new stuff and looking forward. So, anyway, thank you so much. Imagine having all these guys.
I know.
Sorry.